Okay, so now we have our footings in place and our foundation walls. Looks like I missed one right there, so we'll go quickly fix that. We don't want to leave one out. There we go. And we want and there might be one or two more that you might have missed. Just kind of watch for them. But what we need to do now is put in a floor. So then go back to our basement level floor line. We'll do our save here because that's like about every 10 to 15 minutes, if you haven't noticed that already. Now, at this point, I really don't need to see the main floor. You can leave it on if you want. What we're going to do is we're going to put our stair here, and underneath where the master bathroom's shower is, this will become the mechanical room. Mechanical rooms are where we put things like hot water heaters, water softeners, the furnace. Your electrical power box may be in that room, provided it's not on a wall that already has water located to it. So this gives us just a little area here close to the front of the house, so it's going to be a little less expensive to bring it in, and that's kind of a good location for it. Either underneath a bathroom or a kitchen are usually your best places to put your mechanical rooms. It does cut down the amount of copper used for your water lines. Now, copper is not your only solution. You can use PEX, but that's a plastic, and some people are not really too keen on putting in microplastics into their water supply. So it just depends on what your owner is willing to pay for. But you do want to keep it close to the street, which is where all of your utilities come from, as you can, just to make your construction costs a little more affordable. All right, to do the floor, that is a non-structural element. So we're going to go back to the architectural tab, go to floors. Now for all basements, we have a floor that's 4 inches of concrete that sits on 4 inches of gravel. So we're going to go into our floor setting, and we're going to find concrete slab 4 inches. Now this will also be the floor of your garage, but we're not going to put that in yet because we need to know where the site is, and so that comes later. So we 4-inch slab, basement floor line. It's got an offset. We're going to take that offset off. So zero that out. And then we're going to use automatic wall selection. And we're going to go around and pick walls. And let's just start up here and work our way around the perimeter of the house proper. Again, not the garage this time. So we'll just work our way around, coming up inside. And because I made the choice to include this, we'll go around here as well. And I think there's one more there. And now we got to make sure that everything's connected. Well, I could go through and look at them all, or, oops, doesn't look, well, let's just try it. Check it off. So it gives that message that it's connected to the walls. We hit yes, and that is our concrete slab for our floor of our basement. It's at the basement floor line. It goes down to the top of the footing. So we can now, when we go into 3D, we have a floor that is just above all of the footings. Makes it a little easier to see if you missed anything, but we are becoming more and more of a house the more we move on this. All right, back to main level floor line. There are some walls that we will have as well. So this wall around our stair is going to stay. So we go walls. Now these do not have footings. Actually, they do on that note, but we'll fix that in a minute. Fish face interior. Yeah, we can do that. So I'm just going to grab the inside of the wall and trace this opening so I have an idea as to where the stairs will be. And I'm going to have to do some aligning to get things cleaned up a little bit because I want it to be exact so it matches. Oops, missed that one by a little bit. And let's go check on core. Let's go fish face, wall faces. That might help. That would help just a little bit. All right, now this wall here may or may not be there. We have a door at the top of the stairs. when you're doing an unfinished basement, you have to separate it from the finished space. Now, when we talk unfinished basement, that has definitely changed over the decades. It used to be that you wouldn't have to put up any kind of drywall or even insulate it. But now with an unfinished basement, it has to be fully insulated, the entire perimeter, as well as the ceiling above. So there's an envelope. And as well as underneath the concrete slab, there's now a layer of insulation to separate the ground from the concrete slab. So we created an envelope of insulation around it. There ends up being more framing than we used to do in order to hold that insulation in place. And we'll go ahead and put that on here as well. And then the walls around your stair are also somewhat bearing. They are considered a firewall. We do add Type X chipboard to those as well, just like we did in the garage. We want the stairs to be the last thing that burn, because that is how you get out of the house and how firefighters navigate the house to put out the fire. So we have this little room here, but the door is at the top. And so as long as we can seal that off, we do not have to put a door at the bottom. So it just kind of depends on how you want to lay that out. Next, so we're going to make the mechanical room in this area. I'm just going to modify these walls, and I'm not really sure exactly how I want that room to look, but I'm just going to bring them straight across. And so we have this area here is your mechanical room. That means this area could be a walk-in closet if it's a bedroom, could be, a number of things, but this will be the mechanical room area here. And that means you got just this kind of, sometimes these unfinished basements have odd layouts. You want to do your best to mitigate that, but it does take a little bit of effort on there to do so. But we're going to kind of do one more wall. And like I was talking about, we need to insulate the entire perimeter. So we're going to go back to architecture and walls one more time. And inside your wall list, there is, let's see, we called it basement furring with 2x2s or 2x4s. So if you are going to use something like styrofoam insulation, you can possibly get enough insulation out of 2.5 inches of styrofoam. I'm just going to go ahead and go with the 2x4 furring. Get a little more insulation value. You do lose square footage when you do this. You lose almost 200 square feet total by the time you add up all these inches. But we're going to look at this, how this wall is constructed real quick. So if we go into the structure, you will see that there is gypsum board on one side, but not the other. So the exterior does not have gyp board, but the interior does. Okay, so that's going to be important for you to remember. We're going to look at the preview. There's a little preview button in the bottom left, and we can look at that in floor plan view, or we can look at it in section. So what we have is a wall and gyp board. That's all it is. So stud and gyp board. And remember that the gyp board is on the interior side. Okay, so here goes everything. We hit OK, hit apply and OK, just lock it back in. So we then draw this with finished face interior. So we then do architecture, wall, get that active, and finished face exterior. Oops, move that right there. And we then go ahead and start at a corner. And we then put, I'm not seeing the detail I want there for some reason. Let's then draw one wall real quick here and see what's going on with that. Okay. Oh, it's not, it's only a 2-foot wall. Dang it. Silly me. I gotta watch my settings. As you get going through the floors, your settings hold the last thing you hold in most cases, especially in the architectural tab. So our last thing we did was this 2'10" wall. So I'm going to change that to top of foundation. There we go. And we're going to look at our finished face exterior. We'll start our wall. There we go. Now we can see where the gypsum board is. It should be on the inside of the house. And we're going to trace that perimeter one more time. So each corner, as we come zipping along here. Now, for some reason, it tends to have a little bit of a problem. Just go back in and restart it. Not sure why that is. It's when I go clockwise, it always kind of glitches. And I should just not worry about that. But so not a big deal. Just change, something to be aware of. You can go back into Align tool. It's just easiest to restart and let it heal itself as we go. So it could be worse, I guess. I don't know what's worse in life than having to fix mistakes. They're not really mistakes. They are opportunities to verify that nothing else has gone wrong. And so it does take a bit longer. I see people rush through things a lot, and those are the ones that when it gets to the end of the day, have a lot more phone calls to deal with because they've got a lot of problems to solve. I have worked really hard my entire career to never miss a deadline, to have very few revision changes required. In fact, I've never, and this is a knock on wood on this one, I've never submitted a set of house plans to any of the cities in Utah and had them request anything to be redone. That's hard to do. You have to really pay attention to detail in order to avoid that, because the whole point of submitting your house plans to the city for review is for them to find something wrong with them. And if you can avoid that, you are doing very well in life, and you should be winning awards, and hopefully you do apply for awards. I have never submitted for an award architecturally. One, it's not my focus. Most of the time when I do a house, it's to keep the home at an affordable price for the client. And when you do that, you tend to not be in the running for the big accolades. So just depends what your focus is, what you want out of your career. You get what you want out of it. That's kind of how it works. Then make a mistake here because I kind of bounced there. I'm just going to put that in so we can review that. So say, hey, you just did something weird. Yeah, I did. No worries. We're going to keep going with it, though. It's a good one to show as a review as to how to fix, because the more you can do on fixing your own, that means the less I have to do for you, and I'm not going to be with you forever, which is good because you don't want me with you forever. That is kind of how we look at that. Okay, so now we got to go through and clean it up. Corner tool, and just start going through. And here's that error, so we're going to go ahead and align. And it gets a little messy because you've got your shadow from above. But as you kind of just work through, give you a chance to see what's going on here. Now here I've got two walls come together. I'm going to modify this one and just pull it back so it cleans up that joint. So it looks a little cleaner, makes it look a little better, which is always good. Looking good. It just means your drawings are clean. A clean drawing makes it a lot easier to troubleshoot and to work with your contractor on. That boundary did not want to move. Let's see what's going on there. Try that again. There it goes. Push that down to the wall. So, just take a minute and just verify that's what you want. That's all we ask any student. I think you've been prompted on that most of your education with your English papers and your math assignments. People always, I've been asked a lot, why do I need to take English? And the things you learn in those classes are what are called transferable knowledge. So while it's important to write well and to convey information concisely and correctly, you also learn about deadlines, about proofing, verifying things are done correctly. All those are super important aspects of just being successful. And what you consider successful will vary. And that wall does not want to cooperate because it's not supposed to. Wrong wall. Let's change my wall. So what I just did there, I moved this wall. This is that mechanical room, and that wall is only 2 feet tall. So I've got to fix those. Yay. Again, one of those problems when you make a mistake, it can come back and haunt you. But, just kind of work through your life. Make it a good life, because you only get one, maybe more if you're lucky. I'm not sure where science is headed with that, but who knows what's going to come next. And I think this is my last corner. All right, now we got to go fix these guys. Now, I'm just going to click on Modify, and I'm just going to window that whole set of walls and send them all to the top of the foundation because they're only 2 foot tall. There we go. Now they look right. Now I can see where I need to fix. And my corners are all clean, and life is looking good. All right, I am going to remove the shadow of the main floor now. Then go back over into the properties, scroll down to underlay, and change the base range level to none, and apply. And now my basement's much cleaner and easier to work with. And so at this point, I can now move in and start to put some things together. So we're going to go ahead and let you get your footings done, your bearing walls, your furring walls, which is what that insulation wall is. Go ahead and get those completed if you're not, and then start the next video, and we'll do mechanical room and stairs. Not necessarily in that order. I think we'll start with the stair and then the mechanical room. All right, we'll see you shortly.